He was sensitive, big-hearted, caring.
He motivated every single person around him.
He was a special kid.
Losing a loved one is difficult for anyone, but for Tommy Tercilla's family and friends, that grief was especially difficult to cope with.
Tommy was an amazing child, very kind and loving, very compassionate. I really liked the fact that he was able to pick some really amazing friends.
If you got to know the kid, you were lucky, because I never, in my years of college and my years in high school, I never met someone so different, and different in a good way.
Kind of always looked exactly the same, just got bigger. Just always a really fun person to have around, intelligent, wise, funny. Even as a kid, he was very like an old soul.
When I first met Tommy, from the very first moment, I was just impressed with his poise, his intelligence. Tommy's dedication to service was definitely one of the first things that stuck out when I first got to meet him.
He'd always just continuously help other people. There wasn't maybe a day that goes by if something he wanted to get at, he didn't put in work to get that done.
Tommy went on to attend the University of Pennsylvania, but while home for Thanksgiving during his freshman year, tragedy struck.
His mother texted me and out of nowhere told me, Tommy, something happened to Tommy, pray for him. And I texted what happened. She told me he had a brain aneurysm at the time.
Being in the hospital was pretty traumatic, I guess, because you feel like you can't do anything to help him. It hit me hard, as you can imagine, and it kind of ripped me apart. It felt like something was missing.
We went to the hospital immediately, but in my mind I was just thinking, this couldn't be true, there's some error.
And at the time, a lot of people were playing it off. They thought that it wouldn't be as serious as it was, but then it got a lot worse. People started realizing the actual how bad it could actually be, and that's when you definitely saw a lot of people coming together. You saw hallways packed, people always praying over Tommy. You would have friends simply just go sleepless 1 or 2 days.
Of all the stroke types, an aneurysmal stroke occurs more frequently in younger people. And when you look at all kinds of stroke, we always think about strokes happening in somebody who's older, but stroke can affect anybody at any time.
While in the hospital, Tommy passed away at age 19. But his loved ones were determined to keep his spirit alive by starting the TGT Foundation, dedicated to funding neurological research.
It was a time when we were all trying to think of ways that we could honor Tommy's memory, but it was all very exciting and at the same time bittersweet for us. But it's really a beautiful testament to Tommy's memory.
Anyone could have said, oh, woe is me, this happened and I'm gonna mope about it. That is the one thing Tom wouldn't have wanted, is for us to just roll over and quit on him.
I know his friends and I know what they're capable of, so I knew that if they committed to doing something, that they would do it right. Everyone at the foundation loved Tommy, so it's a work of love.
And it just started to show exactly how I said, how the impact that Tommy led to people, that so many people cared so much about what had happened, that they would put in work. On top of that, they would financially contribute. And on top of that, they would assist this movement that we created and the foundation that we started for him.
But Tommy didn't only inspire his friends and family to start the TGT Foundation. He also moved his karate teacher of more than 10 years to establish a platform of giving at his former dojo.
The things that they're doing in their lives are things that people do when they're retired and 50 and 60. And he inspired people to do that in high school. I just kept thinking, how is it that at Better Families that we can continue to represent him? I named it the Tree of Giving. And so the idea was that anyone that did something important and big for the community, that they would get a leaf and it would have their name on the leaf. And I think it's about keeping him in our lives, keeping his spirit, his lesson, and not something that you just said, that's too difficult, we're not gonna think about that. That's when somebody really dies.
I think when a tragedy occurs, the first days, weeks, months, there's a lot of mourning and there's a lot of sadness, but I think it's important at one point to remember, all the good that he did and the life that he lived, and the fact that there's so many people who cared about him so dearly that are preserving his memory, and hopefully through this foundation, lives will be saved in Tommy's name.
There was a lot of hard work involved. There was a lot of, fighting, just naturally. This is a horrible thing that happened. And it took us months to just be able to talk about it. And the struggle it took on us as people, it was worth it 10 times. We got tenfold out of what we put into it.
Not even 2 years old, the TGT Foundation has raised and donated over $10,000. And Tommy's loved ones hope to continue making a difference while finding inner peace.
What we've been able to accomplish in Tommy's name, it kind of shows that something good can come from any situation. As bad as the situation could be, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we have a goal now. And maybe Tommy would have impacted the world in a different way, but I feel that the impact that through the organization, I think he'll be proud of us, and that's all we're looking for.
We wanted to just make sure that people know his name, know who he was, how he was. He never actually did die. He's always living on through the people he impacted. And that's what drives us.
Reporting for CCNN Live, I'm Victor Prieto.